Tasmanian tiger was last seen to be alive in Tasmania in 1936. Since then, there's been no confirmed sightings of it. But unconfirmed, there have been absolutely loads. People reckon they've seen tracks, they reckon they've seen the animal themselves, they reckon they've caught a glimpse as they were driving their car home one night. But ultimately, no animal has been returned. So the search for the thylacine still goes on. It's still missing. The Tasmanian tiger is still not here. Now, the thylacine on the mainland of Australia was known to exist there up until the last 2,000 to 3,000 years, and since then it's disappeared. It's thought that on Australia's mainland the dingo outcompeted the thylacine and sent it to its extinction. It did, however, manage to survive onto Tasmania for quite a little bit longer, but then again humans came around and we said, we're not having you, get out, and then we killed that off. Papua New Guinea is a completely different story. But why are Australians so adamant that the thylacine, the Tasmanian tiger, is still alive on the mainland of Australia? Now, if you guys had seen my last video, you know I was walking around the countryside of the UK and I stumbled upon something I've never seen happen before in the UK. I saw a stray dog. Not just one stray dog though, 2 stray dogs. For a little bit of context for those that haven't seen it, this is what happened. There's a dog here, but there's no owner. I tried to give it the old pss, pss, come here dog, come here, and it didn't want to do it. Who's this?
I don't know who this dog is.
We've got this little brindle looking thing.
Seems friendly.
He seems nice, but... Now, I do have a little bit of an update on what happened to both of those dogs, and I just want to put out there, I did try and get the tan dog. I've seen a few comments slandering me, saying that I didn't try and get the dog or help the dog. That's not true. I was out there for 6 hours filming, and I showed you about 10 minutes of that day. I didn't film me trying to get the dog, so just because I didn't film it, it's not like it didn't happen. I did try and get the dog. Anyway, that is besides the point. These 2 dogs were walking around this woodland stray, no collars, no owners, just nothing. They were just wandering around this woods, and it was really quite strange. It turns out the first dog that I saw, this tan coloured dog, was reported as missing, or people had reported seeing it there and they wanted to catch it. And when I say they, I mean the dog warden of the local area and a few dog rescue charities. So I reported that to the number that was provided from the woman in the video, and from there they said, cool, sweet, we're going to try and set up a trap and catch it. And so they did. They caught the tan dog. From there, the tan dog stayed 7 days with the dog warden just to see if someone would claim it as theirs. Unfortunately, no one did, so now this dog has gone to a dog charity rescue. Brindle dog, on the other hand, I don't really have much of an update, because that dog went with the woman who had the other dogs with her. She said, I'm going to take this dog and see if I can get the owner for it. So there's your update. The tan dog is now in a rescue charity. He's been captured, he's safe, he's fine, he's going to be fed well, he's going to have a great life, lovely. The brindle dog is now with that woman, and whether that gets returned to an owner, I do not know, but he's going to have a great life regardless. Still, it's a weird thing to happen, especially in the UK, where I've just never associated things like this happening in the UK. Stray dogs running around in woodland areas. I've never seen it before. Now, in other places around the world, that sort of stuff might happen. You always hear about like street dogs in Romania or Asia or something like that, and it happens. But in a place like the UK, that isn't really a problem. It's really quite unusual. But as I was recording that video, the thought process came to my head, what if that is the sort of thing people are seeing in Australia that they think is the Tasmanian tiger? Now, I know this might sound a bit weird, right, but when I saw that brindle dog just then, I was thinking, easily people in Australia and Tasmania, if they see a stray dog like that or a dingo running about like that, they might think that is a Tasmanian tiger. Now, don't get me wrong, the chances of that happening are slim, but I'm in the middle of the United Kingdom in Warwickshire, and I've just seen 2 stray dogs knocking about. Like, you don't associate that with happening here in the UK, but for some reason it's happened. And that brindle coloured one really reminded me of the thylacine. So maybe that's what people are seeing in Australia. Stray brindle dogs. Now, I'm not saying the tan dog, really, people are going to look at and think, huh, is that a Tasmanian tiger? I'm not saying that at all. But the brindle one, the one that's got stripes, I do think people might look at that and think, what was that? Because I'm not going to lie, you don't often go down to the woods and expect to see stray dogs. The same thing is going to be in Australia. You don't expect to go into the bush and see a stray dog. Cats, on the other hand, that's a different question. Australia has got a feral cat problem, which leads into a whole different side of cryptozoology. And does Australia have big cats? Probably not, but they do have feral large cats. Now when we look at sightings of like videos and photos of stuff that's happened before with the Tasmanian tiger, most of those I think can be accredited to a red fox or maybe a kangaroo, or maybe in certain instances a dingo. Now let's not forget that dingoes are in Australia. They usually look like this, a tanned coloured animal, and you would be thinking, well, how is someone getting that mixed up for a Tasmanian tiger? But in other cases, dingoes can look like this, and it's not totally uncommon. They do have that sort of look to them, and I'm wondering, to someone who's never seen one of these before, are they going to look at that and think, what on earth was that? I've never seen that before. Is that stripy Tasmanian tiger? Now, I don't think that is out of the realms of possibility at all. To you wildlife people watching this video, and to myself, we can look at animals and we can identify what they are pretty quickly, but to the average member of the public, it's not so simple. Zookeepers can back me up on this statement here. The average member of the public's knowledge on animals is terrible. I've been sat at a zoo looking at jaguars. People come along and go, oh my goodness, look at that cheetah. Sorry? What? I was out in Australia at one of the sanctuaries over there, and they had an emu. An Australian guy, I kid you not, came up and said, look at this ostrich. Man's Australian. Emus live there. I'm just saying, people's knowledge, not very good. Now, I've had this conversation before with Bill Lawrence. Now, Bill Lawrence is a very renowned scientist up in Kent. He works for the James Cook University. He's done absolutely loads with his scientific life. And he also was part of a search for the Tasmanian tiger in Cape York, which is the far north of Queensland. I did an interview with him talking about the thylacine. That's on my page if you want to go and see it. But here's a little clip of what he said when I asked him the question, could brindle dingoes be mistaken for thylacine? Could it be the case of brindle dingoes? People are seeing those and they just see a striped dog looking animal and think that must be the Tasmanian tiger.
It's plausible. That's very plausible. I mean, it's the stripes that tend to be the real, key thing. People will describe seeing an animal and sort of a dog-like animal and medium size type, medium large size. But it's the stripes. Now that's a man that's one of the most cited scientists in the whole entire world, and he's saying that. And I totally agree. I definitely think Australia might have a problem of seeing animals and maybe putting it in the wrong bracket, because a lot of these sightings that get called in are from places that have got quite a big population. I get a few people telling me their thylacine sightings, and they're usually in areas that are next to big cities. So I've had a few from Melbourne and surrounding areas around there, like a place called Ballarat, for example. I've been to these places. They're quite well populated. Now, Australia is massive, don't get me wrong, but for an animal to go under the radar for 2,000 years next to Melbourne is very, very unlikely. In a place like Cape York, for example, where this thylacine expedition and all these camera traps were placed by Bill Lawrence, yes, okay, maybe that could happen, but ultimately they found nothing. So I think it begs the question to me, like, why do people keep saying they've seen a thylacine on the mainland of Australia? What is it they're actually seeing? If you're asking me, I think they're seeing brindle dingoes or brindle stray dogs, maybe even a very large cat that's got stripes on it. When I was driving around the Great Ocean Road and the Cape Otways right down south near Melbourne, there were stray cats around there, and I was like, hang on a second, what's that doing there? There's no houses anywhere near here. But I do think it's all quite interesting. I suppose gets people talking more and more about it, like, are there thylacines still out in the mainland of Australia? Again, if you're asking me, I'm going to say no. I'm going to say they have gone from the mainland of Australia, mostly because it's quite well populated. There's a big dingo fence, and scientists are over there all the time. There's loads of people there all the time. Camera traps absolutely everywhere. These things, these animals, they're not ghosts. Well, if they are extinct, they are ghosts. But my point is, if they were there, we would have camera proof. But anyway, I just wanted to get your thoughts on this little quick video today about the thylacine, and why do Australians keep seeing it in the mainland of Australia? What are they seeing? Are they seeing brindle dingoes? Are they seeing big feral cats that are stripy? Or maybe, like we've seen in the UK, maybe they're seeing brindle stray dogs. Because if a little place like the UK can have some stray dogs running around that nobody else is going to know about, Australia definitely can. An animal that's not been seen for 2,000 years though, probably not. Anyway, I'd love to hear what you guys think about this. Drop a comment in the comment section down below. I've been Cookie. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.